not created, but opened in Louisiana, again going forward to 2018. That presents a real challenge, going back to that graph of the alligator with his mouth open. So what we want to do at the State Workforce Commission, in order to remedy that situation, in order to bring that downward axis up and close the gator's mouth, if you will, we want to ensure we are growing our workforce. U now, let me talk about the U in GUI. The U is to understand market trends. We have invested in a wonderful service, I believe, wonderful software that allows prognostications. It allows us to make very accurate predictions, and the scale for now is going out to the fiscal year 2018, but very accurate predictions based on region in our state, what's hot and what's not. In other words, we were in Monroe last week. It was wonderful to talk about agribusiness and to talk about agriculture and the booming industry there in the Monroe area and in the surrounding parishes. We would obviously not have that same conversation in the New Orleans region where, for example, we may talk more about their biotech corridor and the technological advances they're making with bioindustry in that region. Again, we have 8 labor market regions in Louisiana, and each one of them is diverse because each one of them is different. So what the occupational forecasting software we have, what it allows us to do is in a very real sense determine what's hot and what's not, but also in a localized manner to determine it by region. Why is that important? As we attempt to grow our workforce and to close the gator's mouth there, we want to continue in collaboration and in partnership with sister agencies in government to ensure we are preparing people for jobs that will be available. For example, we are proud of the relationship we have with the Louisiana Community and Technical College system. It is wonderful if, speaking in terms of the proverbial widget, it is wonderful if a young person can log on to www.laworks.net, our website. It's wonderful, which has a host of jobs that are available around the state. It's wonderful if a young person, or a person transitioning careers for that matter, can log on to laworks.net and determine, hey, it's 2010 now. In 2012, widget manufacturing should be really, really hot here. Or gidget manufacturing should be really, really hot. I want to make sure I am prepared to fill the need, as is predicted in Louisiana, for widget manufacturing or gidget manufacturing. So we at the Workforce Commission, again, going back to the first diagram, we're the glue that brings things together. We want to work with the Community and Technical College system or sister agencies and ensure that we offer credentialing programs, certification programs, preparatory programs, so individuals will be able to fulfill the need of those employers in widget manufacturing or gidget manufacturing, whatever the case may be. From a little bit more about the U. From my years, which I really have fond memory of, from my years of service on the East Baton Rouge Parish School Board, I have a slight understanding, if you will, of K through 12 education. If there's any one phrase I would take from that understanding as we attempt to prepare people for the next steps in their lives, one size truly, truly does not fit all. It is no longer about the traditional R's, the reading, writing, and arithmetic. It really is about readiness, about job readiness. So we are in partnership with the Louisiana Department of Education. We are in partnership with the Louisiana Economic Development Corporation to ensure that all hands are on deck, working in a collaborative fashion to prepare individuals as we understand the market and market trends, again, in an attempt to grow our workforce. Let me talk finally about the I now in GUI, G-U-I. The I, again, is improving the quality of current trainings, improving the current employee, or investing in incumbent and transitional employees. And what do I mean by that? We, around the state, as part of that 2008 legislative charge, we had what people referred to as unemployment offices, where someone who's transitioning from one job to another would go in assistance for unemployment and the like. We really have moved away from that now, and we're very proud we've done so because it's part of a reform service delivery model that we have here in Louisiana. We now have business and career solution centers. So in terms of investing in our employees or investing in potential employees, They have capacity to go into what we affectionately refer to as one-stops to receive either off-the-shelf training that is standardized for an industry or training that may be very particularized for the individual. They have an opportunity to engage in soft skill management and soft skills training that will help them at transition points to find new jobs and so forth. And those are the kind of things we really, really want to push. So we're very, very proud at all we're doing to, again, improve the level of proficiency by way of training and so forth. And we strongly encourage employers as well as employees to please visit our site. There are online training portals and the like that we're happy to offer as a service to the public. But we encourage both employers and employees to please take advantage of all that we're doing. We really see ourselves, again, as bringing businesses to people and people to jobs. When you look at that tripartite relationship I made reference to, business is critically important in our Louisiana economy. Obviously, growing a qualified workforce, the labor market itself is important, but we pride ourselves at being at the center in government. We are the glue that brings everybody together for a very diverse and enriching experience, which I like to call the gumbo in the center of that circle. So again, GUI is what we're up to. Since 2008, much more than just a name change, a change in culture, a change in attitude, and a change in focus. And at this time, I am happy to answer any questions you have. I thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you today as a representative of a very reform-oriented part of Louisiana state government. Thank you all so very much.
Can you talk a little more about how you're going to convince people to stay in Louisiana instead of going to, say, Dallas?
Sure.
Some of the other bigger metropolitan.
Sure, absolutely so. And I think, Kim, the common phrase that affectionately describes the phenomenon you make reference to is the brain drain. We call it the brain drain in Louisiana. Our legislature, I believe, does wonderful work in offering tax credits and the like for businesses, attraction credits for businesses to come to Louisiana. We really want to encourage them in doing that. In some of our meetings around the state I made reference to last week, for example, in Shreveport, we talked very candidly about the legislative role in introducing tax credits and other incentives to bring businesses to Louisiana, to attract businesses rather, and also to help sustain businesses that are already here, particularly the development of small businesses. From our perspective, however, we want to make sure those businesses will remain, not just because of tax credits or other external stimuli, but we want to make sure those businesses will remain because they can hire a very high quality and competent workforce to fill their needs. So again, if you want to talk about Vitter Manufacturing, if that is a company, for example, that is attracted by way of legislative initiative to come to Louisiana and they survey the market, it's not very attractive when they look again at that the axes I made reference to. What we want to do by way of offering training programs, by way of offering certification, by way of partnering with sister agencies, the Community and Technical College System, the State Department of Education, we want to ensure that we are offering or producing the most credentialed workers ever, the most high proficiency, high quality workers ever, so they're prepared for high paying jobs. And that, I think, is the way we will get businesses to stay, by improving the market from which they can hire. That is at least our role, part of our role in the equation. Any other questions? Yes, sir. If I'm understanding your question correctly, when you reference nonprofits, we have partnerships, collaborative efforts with CAAs, we call them, community action agencies. But by those regional entities, you're making reference to workforce investment boards? Yes. Okay. We are, our State Department here, the Louisiana Workforce Commission, I said more than just a name change. In 2008, there was reform legislation passed which changed our name from the Department of Labor to the Louisiana Workforce Commission. Years prior to that, and I believe 1998, federal legislation was passed amending, I believe, the Wagner-Pizer Act, but the Workforce Investment Act, the WIA, federal legislation that helps fund, it helps literally bring funding directly into localized workforce investment boards, WIBs we call them, workforce investment boards. I mentioned before there are 8 labor markets throughout Louisiana. There are 18 WIBs throughout Louisiana, or 18 workforce investment boards. We encourage our WIBs based on market area. For example, in Monroe, in the Ouachita Parish area, Ouachita Parish may be a little bit more urbanized than some of the other areas, some of the other parishes in the area. We nonetheless encourage them all to work very closely together. We have some great collaborative efforts. Lafayette Parish and the surrounding, we call it the donut, some of the surrounding more rural areas outside of Lafayette Parish. Different WIBs there, but we encourage them to work collaboratively because those markets, we believe a rising tide lifts all boats. So if someone in an urban center is helping someone in a rural area, or vice versa, if someone in a rural area is helping someone in an urban center to find meaningful employment through those workforce investment boards and through their collaborative efforts, it's win-win for everybody. We want to see an increase in employability, employment obviously, but employability, the training of individuals throughout the various market regions in our state. So we find the workforce investment boards to be very, very beneficial. We encourage, especially in this day and age, where again I mentioned X marks the spot, where fiscal allocation has decreased 61%, but the market demand, the demand by the consumer that we serve, has obviously increased. We're right there where X does mark the spot. We encourage those collaborative efforts to defray administrative costs, to defray overhead, to make sure we are investing all we can in a service delivery model to help improve the product for our consumers. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, you talked about job forecasting and jobs that we got and jobs that we cooling down. Can you speak a little bit to specifically in the Baton Rouge area what jobs have been getting hot?
Sure. Everything I want to, number one, invite you and invite the public and the viewing and listening public to please visit our website, www.laworks.net. It has some very, very specific figures by sect and by industry. If you look, for example, just by way of generality, however, by way of making broad generalizations, if you look at the Pennington Biomedical Research Center, if you look at national trends with LSU, a Research One institution, when you look at Southern University, a leading and cutting-edge historically black institution, we really are a research market here. We really are, as I mentioned this morning on the Inkster Morning Show, we really are the epicenter of thought and forward progression in terms of helping to move an agenda, to set an agenda for the remainder of the state. That's something that all of us that live in this area should be very, very proud of. There obviously will be subsets, if you will, when you talk about research in general. There obviously will be subsets in terms of technological industries and sub-industries for which we want individuals to be prepared. When you think, for example, about medical service industries, that is something that is obviously very, very big with the many hospitals, both public and private in this area. If we at the Workforce Commission can offer adequate training to help individuals who are going to pursue careers in nursing, who are going to pursue careers in bioradiation, we want to make sure we are offering the specific programs that are needed where the employee or the potential employee can receive the credentialing, but most importantly can receive the training to, again, help close the gap there. So it's attractive to the employers up here, it meets their needs, and we're growing where the individual employee is coming from and where they're going to be. So hopefully LSU can beat